He's alive!
A revival or a rebirth may just be one of the most hope-instilling moments in a video game. It could be victorious or even intimidating. When a character or even a whole aspect of a game makes a triumphant return in a positive manner, you could feel excited or pumped for the revival. Or the new presence will just strike fear into you. These revivals and rebirths and resurrections I've decided to talk about all come down to personal choice. It was hard to find examples on the internet, so I ended up having to make this list on my own general knowledge. Nevertheless, I still think of these as very significant revivals, and that is no doubt what I'm meaning to discuss. I also know of many good contenders, but overall I'm just going with what I truly understand, and for that reason, personal experiences and knowledge. Some of the honourable mentions are even being shown right now. Also, please note this, if the revival applies to a character, they do not necessarily have to have died. They can simply just have been knocked unconscious or inferior, and due to the help of another person, they were simply brought up again. Simple as that. Oh yeah, and there will also be some minor spoilers. So, should I start? Emmett says yes! Prototype, a series all about crazy jumps, a virus that devastated a whole nation, and a plot that not even Dragon Ball Z could out-confuse. Seriously, I have trouble understanding the story. But of course that doesn't mean I don't find it interesting. This virus at the beginning of the game attacks our protagonist Alex Mercer and above all, kills him. But somehow, just after this occurs, we see him come back to life and is up and jumping again. A very abrupt and unexpected revival. Like, how the hell does that work? Is he immortal? Can he be brought back to life like Albedo? Well, this is explained in the ending plot twist of Prototype, so yeah, if you're just starting out with this game, spoiler alert. Mercer was always dead. The Alex Mercer you see before you, traversing the destructed streets of the city, is really just the virus, reshaped to imitate him. That is probably why he possesses such superhuman abilities. As such, it may be a bit of a stretch to call this a revival, but for most of the gameplay we're caught thinking it is, so it's all good. But the fact that we're not actually playing as the protagonist, but rather the disease that killed him, is enough to shock you like the Sixth Sense. Our main man has been dead the whole time. Lollipop Chainsaw is a frickin' weird game. Okay, that's the end of the list. That's it. Goodbye. Goodbye. This first revival actually only happens within the first half hour of gameplay. Imagine if you were a hot cheerleader with a sugar popsicle powered chainsaw arriving at school on your birthday, only to find the whole place infested with zombies. It's a terrific satire of the zombie trope, and despite its intentional cheesiness, I like it. Just don't question it. I like it. Then your boyfriend Nick gets bitten by one of those walkers.
What the hell are you gonna do now, sport?
So Juliet goes about reviving Nick in one way, and just one way alone. Can you guess? By cutting off his head and casting a magical spell to keep him alive. Studios games never made too much sense, okay?
I performed a magical ritual on your head. It was really hard.
You bet it was.
If I didn't chop off your head, the venom would have totally seeped into your brain and turned you into a zombie.
For the rest of the game, pretty much, Nick's head dangles from Juliet's hips. There are times where you can reattach his disembodied head to a zombie corpse and pretty much control him. But that's like really clunky and awkward to control. I mean, come on! That looks more like when you've just run out of toilet paper and you're staggering with your pants down to find some more. Nick probably would have become one of those undead humanoids you fiercely cut down now, if Juliet wasn't supposedly a zombie hunting magical ritual enforcing cheerleader from San Ramiro High School. Anyone who remembers my top 10 underrated games will also remember my praise I gave for a little PS3 indie game called Flower. Controlling the wind and the flower petals to bring life back to the world, is that not a beautiful thing to gaze in awe at? It's not as underrated anymore, but I still feel as if it should get some attention still, so if you haven't given it a go, it's pretty short, and it's worth floating heavenly through all three stages, the final one being in the city. Only problem, the city has debris scattered everywhere, so it's your job, the wind, to clean all of it up, and as you do this, the buildings rise from the ground, the grass manages to flutter in the breeze once again, and it just looks breathtaking. But the most satisfying part is the purification of the city. Literally, it's events where the highest skyscraper finally is cleansed of all pollution. In other words, The revival of nature and the city's beauty simply is, no doubt at all, scenery porn. Back before Rare was failing to connect to their respectful audiences, they were developing some kick-ass games for the Nintendo 64, and even before then, their games were solid chocolate. Nice. Banjo-Kazooie's sequel, Banjo-Tooie, is one of my favorite 3D platformers ever. So fruitful in collectibles, challenges, and colourful spread-out worlds, and some dark and dirty humour. Nice one, Rare. But one of the minor plot revelations occurs in the beginning cutscene. Bottles dies. The 3 witches blasted Banjo's house down with a speckled mole in it, and these 3 witches later are planning to bring back Grunty her skin because right now she's a spooky, scary skeleton. No! Not only that, but later on in the game, happy old King Jingling, yes, that is his name, gets the life sucked out of his palace and turns into a zombie. Okay, nowadays this is just sad and lifeless, but back then the presence of the zombified King Dingaling seriously creeped me out. The comments section is full of pussies. I think not, mate! By the end of the game, you would have had to rid Spiral Mounty of Grunty's havoc, revive Bottles and King Sing-a-Song, and finally reach Cauldron Keep. There's a machine there that unusually lets you blow and suck. So after blowing life back into Bottles and King Kim Jong-un, they are ultimately revived and you couldn't be more ready to face off against Grunty and the Hag 1 since everything else has just been resolved. Seriously, just the fact that Zombie King Tongaling is just out of the way is a good feeling. He won't be praising the armless coal monsters no more. Cave Story has a cast of some characters. Most of them are very likable, even if their personalities aren't too fleshed out. Misery's a bit of a sadist, the whole Mimiga community is cute and happy-go-lucky, and then you have... Hello there. Shut up! But out of the whole range of personalities, who's my favorite character, you ask? It's me. Go away! Brace yourselves. It's Curly. Get it? Her name is Curly Brace! Wow! Curly Brace is one of those happy friends that is just so helpful to quote in the Mimigas. Admittingly an adorable attitude towards assistance, the iron bond between the pair is just too strong to break. So much so, that after the fight with the awesome water-based battle with the Island Corps, the room floods, and since Curly's the only one with an air tank, you're probably gonna die. Except you don't. But you will. Curly sacrifices her own life to save you, the protagonist from drowning. She attaches her own air tank to you, as a big help to you since her introduction in the Sand Zone, offering a trade of weapons, blasting off other enemies, and now giving you her air tank. The level following the scene acts as a very emotional remembrance. Can you revive her though? Yes! And thank you so much for that, Pixel! Of course, if you don't jump this gap in the water labyrinth, she is going to die. So don't miss the gap because you don't want Curly Brace to die. So by reading some books, learning how to revive a person from drowning, and well, letting Curly rest, you can let her slowly recover. After a prompt fight with an arrogant mushroom, you can let Curly fully recover her memories and you'll actually understand for once why you and Curly were situated on the island. Why? Well, somebody call an M. Night Shyamalan, because you are both robots programmed by the Doctor. What a twist! Imagine my jaw dropping when I found out for myself for the first time that the main character's name was Quote. Imagine my jaw dropping when I found out that both Curly and Quote were robots, programmed by the Doctor no less. Imagine my jaw dropping when I found out that they were once programmed to kill the Mimigas, which is why they always feared you at the beginning of the game. Imagine my jaw dropping when I realized that without reviving Curly, this crazy plot twist would have gone unnoticed. Amaterasu is a fallen goddess whose powers have been banished, so her use of attacks come from the brushstroke skills of Isun, which allow Amaterasu to perform strokes that affect the very landscape around her. This is great and all, but come the final form of the last boss Yami, and you've managed to escalate yourself to higher than the big bad ball itself. Is that not awesome? Well, crap. After all hope seems like it's been lost, Isun's been smacked sideways, Ami has no powers to fight back with, and Yami has become a fierce hand, you suddenly start to hear other key characters praising you and supporting you. Seriously, when you seem down, every other person you've helped and met sends their strong words to you, praying for your courage and determination. It's a very inspiring and emotional scene, but what also makes the scene so amazing is the music. You just know, in your heart, your mind, and your left kidney, and possibly even your cut-out appendix, that this is going to turn out as something spectacular. And yes, it does. Ami makes a huge comeback and is ready to knock that Yami mech ball into the dust like Miley Cyrus swinging into a brick wall. It came in like a wrecking ball! This entire scene might be just one of my favorites, ever. You see so many people, from Isun to Camille, from Tama to Busty Babe! No, I'm just kidding, she died ages ago. But they all give their hopes for Amaterasu so she can triumphantly regain the damn powers she lost before the start of the game. I'll say that Sora isn't my favorite Kingdom Hearts character, but fuck me sideways if he isn't important to the game's storyline.
Nah, actually that's a bad idea, please don't do that.
You know, I don't talk about this series that much, mainly because all I've actually played is Kingdom Hearts 2. Haven't even played the first one. Grumble grumble. But yeah, Sora, he's like important or something. Now back before Roxas asked who else he was gonna have ice cream with, Sora encountered some pretty shocking events. Twice. But I'm going with the first one. In Kingdom Hearts 1, in order to awaken Kairi, Sora sacrifices his own life by impaling himself with the Keyblade of people's hearts. He becomes a Heartless through this process. Both characters' hearts are released, killing Sora and reviving Kairi. I bet Square gave everyone a short period heart attack with this scene. Sora literally did just die. And this isn't even the end of the game yet. Luckily, not long after, Kairi brings him back to a human form. So it's kind of a double revival in that respect. Kairi and her savior make a great comeback.
You hear that? He was saved, okay?
It hasn't been long at all ever since I talked about Chrono Trigger. The entry spot in my collab with Dorian gives me a good starting block for me to talk about that rebirth we promptly discussed in the video.
The RPG has so many variable plot twists like Chrono's quote-unquote rebirth.
But what did you mean by that? Asked the inferior amount of people that stupidly haven't played Chrono Trigger yet. Well, we were talking about the sequence that occurs directly after the Lavos battle. Or, if I want to be correct, when you fail the Lavos battle. That's right, most often, when you face off against Lavos for the first time, he's too powerful for you. Your entire team falls over. Even the other big bad boy, Magus, fails to stop him. But Chrono gets up, he stands to Lavos, and ends up dying as a sacrifice for the rest of his team. Yeah, it happens so sudden too. In the DS version, it's even more heart-shattering because you can actually see the expressions on his face reveal his inner pain and anguish. If that doesn't seem the least bit sad or shocking to you, then what am I supposed to present? Cloning Chrono to make him alive again? Okay, fine then. Although Chrono himself has died, using a handy-dandy system called the Chrono Trigger, that's why they call it that, to create an exact copy of Chrono and continue his life as a living legacy. In that respect, Chrono is allowed to proceed with his adventure to stop Lavos and kick him from the inside out. Usually there always seems to be a type of quirky revelation to a video game plot. I mean, things aren't always going to be consistent.
That's basically how life was made out to be.
But this game just has one of the most devastating plot twists that for some reason everyone knows about now. But I'm still gonna talk about it! You, Wander, the wandering protagonist, has a quest to revive his girlfriend by putting his faith into a spirit that requires Wander to slay 16 Colossi. 16 Colossi! The only compensation is an unknown price to pay. That's one hell of a task. But he does it. Wander manages, with all his inner strength and determination, to bring the lives of every single Colossus to an end. This does not go, however, without the occasional dark possession that gets to him after every killing. Before the final boss, his horse Aggro falls to a sorrowful death. The quest of Wanda will not follow without its consequences. But the price to pay has not been fulfilled. After approaching the spirit, it reveals itself as Dormin and possesses Wanda. Yep, Wanda was backstabbed, ferociously. The price to pay was evident, but we'd have thought Aggro was the saddest part of this compensation, when it's actually Wanda's life that would have paid for the damage dealt to each of these colossal creatures. Wanda and Dormin are banished into a pool of light, and that seems to be the end of it. All of it. But hang on, there's the ultimate dick move. You wanna know what it is? You ready for this? Okay. Wanda's girlfriend, as well as Aggro, are revived. Yes, I'm being serious. The only way that Wanda can review these revivals are through the eyes of an infant child. All three characters are revived, making it a triple revival. Nevertheless, it's pretty sad to see that Wanda won't truly be able to experience the joy of seeing both of his closest companions alive again, but instead can only end up witnessing it as far from what he previously was. Not a man, but a baby. Why couldn't the protagonist accept fate and just let his girlfriend rest in peace? Why couldn't he let the Colossi reside without being provoked? Almost all the Colossi were harmless in that regard, and so bringing them down just for the sake of one man's desire seems selfish and tyrannical. Also, why did Wanda have to put his trust into an anonymous spirit? That's like trusting a dodgy download site for cracked games. It's gonna give you a virus, just like Wanda was given a banishment. This game's ending has been left open to interpretation, but no doubt is it puzzling and devastating to see that Wanda, yes, has been revived, but we wouldn't have been fond to see him like this. No, not at all. I don't do this that often, but I'm gonna go over some honorable mentions since there were some great contenders, which I eventually had to cut out. Dracula from the Castlevania series has been resurrected over 20 freaking times! Vampires are immortal, yes, but that's insane.
How about you?
Albert Wesker's been revived as a mutated villain numerous times in the Resident Evil games. Oh, and so have those Regenerators. Liquid Snake from Metal Gear Solid was killed in the first game, but in the second game he returns, except he possesses Ocelot. Come MJS 4, and we find out that it was actually all a trick devised by Ocelot, who only made people think he was possessed. Well, actually, kinda. It's a bit complicated. Every Metroid game seems to have Ridley coming back in some form, my personal favorite being his meta-infused version. Robot Dragon, come on, Robot Dragon, please. Asura from his own game comes back from the dead. How? He's an angry madman! Commander Shepard's been killed by aliens at the start of Mass Effect 2, but his body is taken and revived, soon up and running, ready to either be a great help or a selfish asshole. In Sonic 06, Elise revives Sonic by Whoa! That is not an honorable mention. That was a stupid idea, Sega. And finally, during the final battle of Persona 4 against Izanami, you fall due to your opponent being much too powerful. But after mutual encouragement, you get back up again and start attacking Izanami like there's no freaking tomorrow. Or well, there wouldn't have been a tomorrow if you didn't finish her off, so yeah. Imagine if you were on a long and tiresome journey to your home from the middle of a desert. You can see your snow-capped home towering in the distance, but you are far from that civilization yet. As you explore the path in which you decide to take, you notice the remains of another ancient home that once stood here. Carpets, bridges, temples, and paintings telling stories. There are no words to describe the magnificence because there are no words. The game story is simply told through cutscenes and gameplay scenery, without any commentary. You feel as if you're getting closer and closer to home, but you aren't quite there yet. There's much more to push through, and you don't think you can make it. You're growing tired, hungry, hopeless, without a sign of life to assist you. Until Rebirth. You're there! You're finally there! In the snowy midst of the mountains! The greatest part about this is that you just know there's only a few more steps, a few more floaty jumps, a few more skating runs along the glacier, aimfully gliding past waterfalls and carpets to get yourself to the place that means the most to you. It's a wonderful determination boost to get yourself home, and it's just your mindset alone that achieves this. The scenery of cloudy mountain peaks and the smooth glistening shine on the snow helps drive the beauty of Journey's final level home. But essentially what puts this at number 1 is the music. Not only is it reminiscent of a rebirth itself, I mean, one of the titles for the song is Rebirth and Apotheosis, but it easily reflects the sudden beauty and vibrance of the situation at hand. Once you're at the end of the stage, that's it. You're home. And the soundtrack has a very sorrowful and triumphant build-up from start to end, to mirror your fruitful journey. There's no doubt at all, Rebirth from Journey acts as one of the most beautiful moments I can ever recall in recent history. There are no significant characters, but you feel the emotion of arriving home after a long time. You even see other robed travelers returning after their separate journeys. It's a truly inspiring scene, and hey, if you haven't played Journey yet, and have a few dollars on your hand for an extra PS3 store diamond of an indie game, go ahead and experience this euphoria for yourselves. You'll be tipping fedoras like crazy. I'm MasterJakeStudios, and I promote an end to this video.